So I'd have a clubfoot like that right there.
Yeah.
So I don't care. I'm good with being
I'll
short.
never forget that day.
Oops, there goes another leg. Oops. That's what he said. I go, bye, Rodney. I just broke my leg. Oops, there goes another leg.
That wasn't me. That was.
That needs to be recorded.
Oh, it was. No, it was the Lofgren kid.
That bone was
'Cause it was
sticking
me.
straight out.
It was me and the Lofgren kid.
it
We
was
were over
bad.
there.
It was-
We were doing the.
My leg was turned right there.
Yeah.
Drug on the ground right
The
there.
one leg, the one bone was just straight out, just like that. Oh,
Okay, your mom was telling us all these funny stories today about how many times she went to the emergency room with you guys, and every single one of you had stitches. And one day she was there twice in one day.
Yeah.
She's like, nowadays they take my kids away. I'd be abusive mother, and I didn't do it.
I was telling you, we were talking about this the other day. We were talking about
Yeah.
getting stuff stuck in our feet. I'm like, man, I had fish hooks.
That's what Michael said.
Fish hooks caught between my toes. A needle that was on the thread but went in backwards. So when you pulled on it, it went in all the way. So when you pulled on it, it was actually trying to turn sideways as you're trying pulling it out. I had to cut that out.
he was cursing me when he pulled that fish hook.
Yeah.
I warned Stephen, if our
was
kids
a-
crawl and get a fish hook in them, it will be the last fishing item in our home.
And then I got a toothpick stuck in my. And so it was always in between my toes too, every time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
The first time I went to the hospital was I tried to escape. It was in when we were in Provo, West Provo, across the street from Aunt Dora.
Dora, yeah.
I tried to sneak out the window, and
Did you have the loaf of bread?
I always have a loaf of bread. Well, it was all, and I had to be Wonder Bread because that's what gave me my superpowers.
I believe it.
I had these two sweatshirts that I didn't know where they came from, but I was Super Bear because it was a bear head and he had a hat on, and I called myself Ookla, the Super Bear, UCLA. And anyway, so I
Being a
jumped out the
California girl,
window
I
and I
got that.
landed. I don't know why it was there, but there was a tuna fish can. And I landed on it, and it cut my heel, and I had to go to the hospital and get these stitches in my heel. But no, the day you broke your leg, there was this. It was a parking lot,
It was a bowl.
and it
Had
was
two drainage ditches.
yeah, it was like
two
this.
drains.
So it had two drainage ditches.
man,
So the sides of it were
Of course, it
like
was
this
oval.
V, and it was a perfect oval.
Mm-hmm. You can haul butter. on
And
it.
so we would just, and there, it was off to the one side, so there was hardly any cars there ever. And so we'd get there and just go as fast as we could get going. And you came down to the V, and I think you were a little too low.
My car came around. I seen a car come around the corner.
So you were trying to adjust.
I was trying to adjust.
Oh, okay.
And then the pedal hit the ground,
And then,
and then it went bad from there.
well, the thing is, you never screamed or cried. You just,
Well,
What?
he did when I tried to pick him up.
well, then you were like, well, don't tell Mom. I was like, I think we got to tell Mom.
My brother, when he jumped his bike, our church was the bishop's storehouse, and so they had this thing where the trucks would back up.
Yeah.
He got his brand new Mongoose BMX
Mm.
bike, so he tried to jump it off of this thing. I mean, it was high, and his bike went boom, and boom. He had a goose egg. I'm not kidding. It was like, and so my mom had sent me over to see what the boys were up to. And I hear him trying to kill the neighbor boys because they dared him, so it was their fault. And he was trying to kill them, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So I had to rescue the boys from the neighborhood. I'm helping my brother with his bike down the alley to the house, and he goes, "Don't tell Mom." And I'm like,
You gotta.
"Yeah, I think she's gonna notice."
Yeah.
No, and see, our house had back stairs and the front stairs, the fancy front stairs, but we had back stairs because they used to have servants once upon a time. So I snuck him up the servant stairs and laid him in bed. And I went and got a washcloth, and I'm like, Josh, we're gonna have to tell Mom. Well, my mom and Dad are standing right outside the door, and I'm like trying to talk him into being brave and tell Mom, no, she won't notice. I'm like, dude, she's gonna notice. Well, don't tell her because I'll get in trouble. Okay. And my mom said, get in trouble about what? Josh is like, oh, I go, I didn't. I've been with you. Yeah. He had 2 black eyes. Ran, this big thing ran down. It looked like a mask, like this. It was the best. Don't tell
Luckily,
Mom.
I never had that problem.
And then your mom was telling us about how you guys tricked her all the time. And so Steve came in with this horrible eye, blood all over, and she told him to go to the bathroom and wash it off because she thought you guys were tricking her. He ended up having to go.
I did it on my bike. How did you cut your eye? Is that how you did that?
Yeah, we were going, me and my friend were, you know those 1970 handlebars?
Oh, yeah, cool ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were going up this hill and then jumping, getting Evel Knievel.
Oh, that was big then
I
too.
went up it and I hit a boulder, and that thing just went boom. That's all I remember. Laying on the ground.
What happened?
What was that? I got up and blood everywhere, and it cut my. So we had to drive home, and people were looking at me, and
Blood dripping all over.
blood dripping. And then we go in, and Mom, my friend was like, "He's got blood. You gotta take him to the hospital." I went in there and showed Mom, and she's like, "Wipe that stupid stuff off your face," because it was right on Christmas, Halloween time when we had fake blood.
Yeah.
She thought it was fake blood, so I wiped it off, and it started gushing out again. And she's like, "What'd you do?" I crashed on my bike. It's bleeding, Mom. Oh my gosh, let's going to the hospital.
And then the friend thought she was a mean mom because
My friend was like, "You got a mean mom." She's
No, I had one time when we were in a trailer park. I was riding my big wheel, and there was a neighbor who had a tow truck, with the crane. Remember they had the cranes, and the chain was hanging down, and I drove underneath it and had that, the big metal hook. I went right underneath it, just popped me right on top of the head, and I was like, oh, I got a headache now. I didn't think it was, I just bumped my head. So I go walking into the house, and apparently I had blood just dripping all the way down here, all the back of my head, just blood just gushing out of this thing. I had no clue. I come walking in and I go, "Mom, I got a headache." She just starts freaking out, and I'm like, what's wrong? You're bleeding. And I pulled my hand down, and it's just covered in blood. And I'm like, that's when I started crying. I was like, ah!
I heard it.
I think it was like 8 stitches.
There for a while though, we were using sugar to close our cuts up.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we didn't have to go to the hospital. We tried to hurry up, put the sugar on it because
Yeah,
it would close up
trick
really
Bob,
quick.
yeah, because it would coagulate the blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could
my
you
worst
guys-
was 27 stitches I got in my foot.
We all got some ugly scars because of
Yeah,
it.
we did.
I got one right there from trying to do that stupid thing.
I think I got the worst one though. I think that's a scar of old times.
Where'd you get that one?
That was a spleen.
Spleen. Oh, that was the
That was
tubing accident.
Tubing
Was
accident.
that Scouts or was that a church house?
It
That
was
was a
church,
church.
because there was
You guys.
it was like the whole
Wow.
stake.
You guys
was
went
there.
and stayed the night, and I didn't want to go. In fact, I didn't want to go
At all.
at all. And Bishop,
Was it
the one with
Taylor?
Taylor begged me to, let's go. Come on. And I'm like, I don't want to go. And he's like, come on.
He was the last
Now he
one on
feels
the.
so bad about it. that
Yeah.
He begged,
Well, you
made me
barely
go.
got there.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
you got
I did.
out of the
Yeah.
car.
That was my first trip. We barely got out of the car.
And I remember that because I had just fallen off the tube because it was Well,
we were
it
all-
was just a huge diesel
Yeah,
tube.
you guys have already crashed once.
And there
Yeah.
was, as the tube would go down, everybody would jump on. So we had like 30 people on this tube.
Oh,
Like, this
that's
thing was
wild.
gigantic.
and then everybody was bailing off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
About
bill
this
off.
I was at the very bottom.
So he was the
That was
last
a-
one on it.
There was me and this other kid. I can't remember his name. I saw him fly down the side of me, but man, I went right for that tree
Wrapped around.
and wrapped around it.
So then we had to carry him up.
Passed out. I passed
I had
out.
to carry him up the hill, put him back in the back of the truck,
Jeep.
and drive him down. And we're in, and it's this bumpy dirt road just like this, and he's just
It was a
screaming out in
long
pain the whole
drive.
time. There's nothing we could do. We're all just kind of sitting there going, well,
That was a
trying to do what
long
we can,
drive.
but all we could do was just keep him from bouncing around too much.
Yeah.
Oh, that was insane.
Then we went to the concert that he was supposed to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had tickets to Kitty. He had tickets to
Loggins.
Kitty Loggins,
Yeah.
and because he couldn't go, me and Tracy go,
Yeah.
and we're sitting there like, all right, we're at the concert.
The opening act come out. I can't remember
bride-
some
it
chick
wa-
or
yeah,
something
yeah,
singing.
yeah.
She wasn't too bad.
Yeah, so she comes out, and then she leaves, and all of a sudden the lights go down, and we're like, everybody's, yeah, Kitty Loggins, Kitty Loggins, and then all of a sudden
you hear this,
Yeah,
just
here-
a bang.
you hear this bang, and then silence, and then a lot of roughing around, and then you see a lot of flashlights. And then the house light comes back on, and about 10 minutes later, oh, ladies and gentlemen, we've had some technical difficulties. We're gonna have to reschedule the concert.
He fell and broke his ribs.
He was
Yeah,
doing this
but-
thing where he was running, and he hit this little mini trampoline, and he would do a
jump
flip.
on the.
And as he's doing the flip, the lights would shine on him, and he would land on stage, and that's how we'd open the concert. Well, he tripped and hit the thing and busted
We
his
were on the-
ribs.
We were on the same.
Yeah.
They took him to the hospital. We had this. We were on the same room. We were on the same
Floor.
floor
Yeah.
and had the same doctor. Me and Kenny Loggins.
And you were like, hey, Kenny, I had tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the hospital after
Yeah,
when it got canceled, so we went over to the hospital.
because
Like,
he
oh,
just walked over there.
they had some technical difficulties, and they go, "Oh, not really."
No, he fell
He's in the
from his
hospital. Oh,
Uh,
then Steven got to go to the concert anyhow.
Yeah, I got to
Dang
go.
it.
Yeah, I got
You
to go.
guys, we got screwed out of that deal.
Yeah.
yeah, we did. Huge. Remember when we went to the Styx concert?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because this concert was fine. We had a great time, but on the way home, the car broke down. The
Yeah, you
Suburban ran out of
or
gas. Is that what it
something?
was?
I think so.
But we had to.
A cop came and gave us some gas, and we got home.
But that was fun. Love that Suburban. Holy
do.
cow.
That thing was a
That
bomb.
I hate that thing.
What? It was the
thing
coolest thing
lasted
ever.
forever.
You had
Floors
to get
rotted out of
underneath
it.
it with the screwdriver to start it.
Well, yeah, there was
That's
that.
so embarrassing.
That's the
But
best
you had to
part.
get up there and pull the flywheel because the
Yeah.
because the teeth on
were
the
all
flywheel
gone.
were gone, so you had to pull it to where it could get some teeth to grip to start.
But once you got it rolling, it was good.
Yeah, it was just, we all had really good forearm strength. Oh, you got to the point where it
When
was
there's no way you could pick up a chick in it. You just laugh at you. Because we were dragging Maine in it one night.
it wasn't a
was
chick
not-
back then at
it
all.
was not a chick back
I think it was Dad's way of keeping us from getting anybody
it was a-
pregnant.
It worked.
It worked.
Not for us.
It worked.
Wagon, wagon, it was not.
It was a complete deterrent. Who needs birth control? We got this green Suburban for you boys to use.
That's funny. So what's your other favorite family car that you guys ever had? Like,
I think the station wagon
The mom rolled.
that Mom
Mom
rolled.
rolled, yeah.
Yep.
because it had that. Cause, you know, it had the seat in the
Well,
back, so you could sit there.
But it had, but the whole thing of that car was it had a
Sunroof.
sunglass.
Yeah, and it had
That's
sides.
the only thing you can do is look up and look
Yeah.
at blue clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it had glass along the corners
Yeah.
all the way
Yeah.
across the back.
It was very futuristic.
Yeah.
But it was always fun sitting in that back seat because you just stare at people
Yeah.
driving in front of you. Wave. We'd always write notes and put them up. You know, I mean, that was the funnest thing was long trips was honk.
Well, Michael was
Mom-
telling me about his
Mom
memory
flipped
of
it.
that car when he rolled it and you guys couldn't find him. And they're like, Michael, where are you? And he's like, I'm in here. And he'd been in that back seat and it had closed him in.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
guys couldn't
Probably
find
saved his life doing
Yeah.
that. Now, I remember when we,
Nobody had seatbelts.
because we're driving,
Oh.
because we were all up in the U-Haul with Dad.
And I was sitting in the center, so I
Yeah.
had both mirrors. I was watching mom. Mom would be over here, and in a few minutes she'd be over there. So I was just doing this, watching her go back. And all of a sudden I looked over here, and all of a sudden I saw the car up in the air with the wheels. I'm like, Mom just flipped. Mom just
Yeah, so-
rolled the car. And Dad's like, you seriously? Really?
And so we
stop
stopped.
the car."
So we stopped and all,
We stopped.
all,
we had
the,
to
all
ro-
the Scott
yeah,
Answer
she was
was
ready.
gone.
Mom was gone. She was. Wheels
It
were
was just
still
it was
rolling
us
when we got
three.
there.
Yeah,
Mom
I remember
and Dad.
getting in. There was some guy just standing there.
That
Don't touch them! They're all dead.
Yeah.
They're all dead.
That drunk guy. Yeah.
And Amos is going around there pissing
Pissing
on
on it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Amos was
Dog.
this. He
Oh,
was
he's an
part
ugly
Chihuahua, part pug.
it. Oh, he was ugly.
He had won the Nevada State
Ugliest dog.
ugliest
he was
dog
ugly.
contest.
And he stunk.
Yeah, he did.
My
Yeah,
mom
he was-
loved him.
He was pissing on the tires while I was rolling.
He would always run away. We lived in Yerington, Nevada at the time. And he kept running away. And my mom got it from the pound or something. I don't know where she
Yeah,
got
so
it.
he kept
And
running back
he
to
kept
there.
running away, and
Back to
and
the
so
pound.
mom told him that she didn't want it anymore. Well, then the dog would run away, coming back to our place again. And
Bipolar dog.
so we. It was an ugly dog.
And then we had Chips.
Oh yeah,
Chips was pretty good.
chips are kind of like peanuts a little
Yeah.
bit.
He was well. His
Mm.
biggest downfall was that he felt that he could take on anything. He was fearless.
Was he part beagle?
He was just this Chihuahua that wanted to
Chihuahua
fight
thing.
every dog he met. And he tried to take on a Doberman Pinscher one time, and it didn't end well.
No, if you got the raw end of the deal, raw end too.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah,
he got his ass bit off.
he did. Or ripped open. It was not good.
Yeah, but he would just terrorize any other dog that came by. He just decided that he was in charge. That was fun.
Your mom was also talking about how you guys used to bounce on your beds like trampolines.
Oh,
we
we
used
used
to
we
do
had
and
the-
running down the hall and then jumping on the couch. We
The
used to
roll.
do the flip on the
Flip.
couch.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was
remember-
always cool.
During the Muhammad Ali years, we started boxing each other
Yeah,
with socks.
Yeah.
Mom didn't like that very much at all. We had a great
Oh,
time.
that was good.
I mean, we always had bunk beds, and we would jump off the top into
Yeah.
the small one.
Because there was side, there was the bunk and then the short one here.
Yeah.
You jump.
Well, me and Michael used to we would pile all the dirty laundry and the blankets, and we would jump onto that.
So which one of you was bouncing and the box of rocks fell on him?
That was me.
Yeah.
I had a rock collection because I'd gotten it from Uncle Devon. He had a rock collection, and he had left it at Grandma's because he'd been collecting. So I took over the collection and started adding to the collection, and they were all up along my windowsill. and we were bouncing, and I landed because we would jump, and then you would land on your back, and then try to pop back up.
Yeah.
On
So
your
I landed on my
pants?
back, but then I
I
flipped
remember that.
over. My feet came up and hit the box that I had of the rocks, and knocked them down, and they fell on top of me, and it chipped my tooth. So I had to go get cosmetic dental surgery
And how old were
when I
you?
was 12. That's when we were in that. It was after the first house fire.
The one in up. So
When
it's
we
the
were up on
second-
Brighton View Drive.
Yep.
It's right there.
That's what it was. Brighton View Drive. How'd you remember Brighton?
Just stuck in my head.
Traumatic
Name-
experience.
Named your kid after that street, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
After the second house fire
Yeah.
street. Oh,
I spelled it with a Y though, so it wasn't the
Oh,
same.
yeah,
it's
it's not the
it's
same.
different.
But at the first house fire, that was weird because I'm just sitting there in class one day,
Me too.
and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
you two, Christine and Mom, just kind of pop into open the door,
that-
and you're standing there in the hall, and I'm going, "Hey, this is pretty cool. What's my family doing here?" Teacher goes walking over there. It's like, "What's this?" And she turns and looks at me and waves me over. So I go walking over there, and it was one of you two said, I think it was you.
Yeah,
He looked at me and go, "You like what you're wearing?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "'Cause it's all you got. Everything's gone."
It was too.
that's what I said.
Oh,
The second house fire was scary though.
That was, oh my goodness, that was the weirdest night
I
ever.
remember I woke up because Stephen and I had the room, the basement, the bedroom downstairs, the only ones down there, and it had a long play area.
We used to roller skate.
Yeah, it was a long.
And
I remember all the popping and
Yeah, and I
wood
was dreaming.
burning.
I
Popping
was
sound.
dreaming I was at the racetrack because I was smelling the right rear tires smoking.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that what you?
And yeah, and I woke up and woke Stephen up, and we opened up the door, and the whole basement's on fire, and there was no way to
You
get
tried.
out.
You tried running out.
There was no
I
way.
grabbed you.
And we tried getting we were in the basement, so I had the windows really
I,
high.
yeah, I jumped up there.
Yeah, we had-
smacked the window.
Yeah, well, we
I
had
got
that plastic that was Dad had put the plastic on the windows to seal them, and I grabbed it and it just molded around my arms.
Yep.
Really?
It did.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
it
melted
just
those
melted. Wow.
arms.
That's how hot it was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember
And
Dad.
we-
And we were throwing stuff.
we-
to
yeah.
see
Didn't you
and
guys
try-
turn on the stereo?
No,
No.
we didn't.
No, we were just
we didn't-
yelling. At
No, we weren't enjoying ourselves.
No.
Well, no, you were trying to make noise. So
Yeah,
Yeah, because Mom's
I think I
room
took
was
my-
above us.
I know we.
because
was
Mom
hitting a
said
bird.
what
We were
woke her
throwing
up was
shoes.
she
I
started
I
hearing
think I'd
Pink
taken my
Floyd.
22 and I was hammering it up against
Yeah.
the butt of it.
And I was
against
grabbing
the
my
ceiling.
shoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Trying to wake Mom and Dad up above us.
Because I know
But I
Mom.
passed out.
Mom went down and she started to go down, and the flames came up, and then she yelled. Dad came and got me and Michael and Kathy up, and we went out the window in their bedroom. And
I just quit breathing and fell to the floor. That's the last thing
Yeah.
I remember.
I just remember laying on the ground. I had a blanket around my head.
so how did the mattress get on you?
We don't know.
I don't know.
yeah, so they
Because I know I had a blanket on me. That was,
And they said there was one on me too, but
Yeah.
I have no idea how. I didn't put it on me.
I remember being on the ground, and I remember putting the blanket on me.
No, I
I
don't.
don't remember no mattress. I know I didn't move the mattress.
I didn't either.
But you guys were like laying down with your heads underneath
Yeah,
the
like
bed,
our beds.
and then your mattresses were on top of you
Yeah.
when the firemen got there.
So angels. You guys have angels.
But not
Oh,
one,
they were with
one
us a
drop
lot,
of water
too.
put that fire out.
Yeah, they kicked the door in and the fire went down.
Yeah, fire was out.
Well, Dad he broke the window out, and he was squirting water in there. He had water going.
Oh, did he?
He was,
Our bedroom.
But our
Yeah.
our bedroom wasn't on fire.
No,
No,
It
but
just
he
all
was-
smoke and
but
heat.
just
yeah.
the
but what he did was
the
he
rafters
got the
in
window
bed-
open,
in the
and then he got the garden hose and he was spraying the door. He was doing everything to keep the flames from coming in. And that water, the water on the floor going down is what kept the fire from coming into your bedroom.
Sealing it.
You know what I mean? But we got out, me and Michael and Kathy, and we go walking out, and you can't see flames from outside. And this guy comes driving by, and there's me and Michael and Kathy. They're in pajamas. I'm in my tidy whiteys.
Yeah, so was I.
I'm standing there in my underwear.
That's right.
January 7th.
Yes.
January
It was
7th.
cold.
I was in my tidy whities, and I've never,
Me too.
I've never since then. If I've slept
I
in
can't.
tidy
Yeah.
whities.
And the guy stops. This guy's driving over, and he goes, "What are you kids doing?" I said, "Our house is on fire." Which one? Oh, that one right there. And he's like, "Was everybody inside?" "Yeah, my brothers and my mom and my dad." Well, I think my dad's out right now. My mom just, she's
Is he
she's
the one that
back there.
called the fire department?
No, mom ran across the street.
She ran across the
Neighbors,
street.
neighbors called, and then she told us to go over there because they were waiting. So we went and hung out over at the neighbor's house, and they had a girl that was my same age, and I had to sit there
Tidy whities.
in my underwear talking to her because she's like, "Are you guys okay?" Yeah,
Yeah.
just waiting. It was like 10 minutes. It was like 10 minutes of me just sitting in my underwear, and then she finally was like, "You want a blanket or something?" And I'm like,
Oh, okay.
"Well, I guess the show's over, yeah."
Oh.
Hey,
That was just rough.
It's pretty funny. I woke up, like I was out. I woke up. My mom was praying beside me the whole time. I
When
could
did,
just
where
hear
did you
her praying.
wake up at?
I was in the ambulance.
Yeah, that's how it's.
So
But-
you guys go in the same ambulance?
No, we were in different
No,
ambulances.
they were calling
Calling
a
Life
helicopter
Flight
for
for
me, 'cause I
Stephen.
was totally
He
gone.
was dead,
Huh.
I had no pulse.
Yeah.
Tracy did.
and they all I heard was, like I came to, and then about 3 minutes later, go, we got him back. Let's just go. And that's about the time he
That's
come
all
back
I
to
heard.
life.
That's all I heard.
so they threw you on Life Flight, and they took you.
No,
in
no,
both
no.
ambulances.
both
We were-
ambulances.
Yeah, they weren't gonna wait any longer for the life
Oh,
flight.
okay.
So when the plastic melted, did it stick to you? Did you
I-
get burned?
No.
You got burned?
No, the only burn I got was on my butt from
I got-
they
my-
carried
my
me up
burn-
the stairs.
I
got
punched
my-
the window, and I felt a breath of fresh air. But all I got was a cut right there. That's
Yeah, you can barely see it.
yeah. That's all I've had.
And you got your butt burned?
I got my butt burned.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I had it. Well, I had a burn here. I think when they carried me up the stairs
That's where I got them. Yeah,
I
think that's where
burnt
mine is.
along the wall or the stair rail because I had a big burn right there.
It's also right at the top of the stairs. The stairs used to come out and used to go straight out in the used to be a carport
Carport.
deal, so the stairs went straight outside, and that's when they kicked the door in. Right there, and the fire basically went out. But right at the top of that was like a little knick-knack shelf deal, and that's where the Book of Mormon was sitting and never even got burnt. Like everything else was toast
Burned
around
around
it, junk, and Book of Mormon still.
Right
Edges
there.
were burned off from it.
And you have that still?
No, Michael has it.
I think
didn't know
that's
that.
why you wanted that other book too, Dad's.
It was pretty
The,
wild.
the ironic thing of the whole deal was the reason we had the fire
Oh yeah.
was because neighbors of ours, their house had caught on fire.
Yeah, there's a. That's
And
why I got
that morning or the
when
morning
I
before.
came to. That was the first thing I'm like, hey, we just had a fire. There's a fire just down the street. What's going
Mhm.
on?
Yeah,
What-
the Lofgrens. They what happened? Their house had caught on fire,
that night.
and
before.
so because we had just had recently our house fire, which year
Couple months,
before,
yeah.
we felt bad for them, so we had them come and stay at our house, waiting for their grandparents to come down and pick them up and take them to Idaho. So while they were there hanging out at our house,
Yeah.
they had a girl who was the same age as Kathy. They were playing downstairs in the basement, and they were playing iron. And they
Plug the iron in.
plugged the iron in and left it there and left a sleeping bag over the top of it. But it was set really low, so didn't catch on fire immediately, but eventually it just got heated up so much and then started a fire. And that's what caused our fire.
Makes you wonder what's caused their fire.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a whole different story, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. That was weird though. And then we lived in the house that we moved into for a little while there in
Yeah.
Sandy. I
For
actually,
5 minutes.
yeah, I actually really liked that place. We were like in the middle. There were people our age.
Yeah.
There was big fields to play in. I was just like, this is the coolest house we've ever lived in, and we were only there for what?
I just remember the
15
refrigerator
minutes.
situation. We didn't have we had nothing.
Yeah, we.
And so our refrigerator was putting stuff out on the back porch because it was the middle of the winter.
I do, yeah, I
and
remember that for a
so-
while.
That was our refrigerator
And then we
was
moved.
out on the back porch.
Yeah, then we moved to that big house in American,
American
Fork.
Yeah. Boy, I
That
drove
was
by that.
cool.
That thing's they cleaned that place up. That looks
Yeah,
nice.
that was really nice. Well, he had finally painted it just before we
Yeah.
moved out.
Yeah. Well, they painted a weird
I
color.
love the
house.
backyard of that house though.
Yeah. Man, it had a big. It was like all the houses around it had their yards, and then this was right in the middle. Had like a football field in the middle, which was all belonged to that house that we were in. So we got to play in that thing. We had a bicycle.
Yeah,
trail.
we had a bike track, and
Yeah,
well, we made a track pretty much everywhere we were at.
we did.
If we had the room or not.
Well, I remember in Nevada, that's when we were doing the Tonka trucks.
Yeah,
Remember those?
Yeah.
You get the metal Tonka trucks, and we would race those. You'd have to push
Got
those.
a couple scars from that.
We were-
at first.
At first, it was friendly at first, and then it got very competitive.
You can't lose.
You
Get a
can't
race. No.
That's
Get a
how-
race. Get a race to win.
That was when you learned, well, if I can't pass you, I'll crash you.
Yeah. There's a lot of crashing.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother had those Tonka trucks, those big ones.
Yeah,
Big
the
metal
metal ones.
ones.
Yes.
Yep. They were
That's
perfect because they would.
And you can put your foot on them and make them go.
Oh, nah, we had our hands on the sides, and then
Yeah,
you
we
just
built.
kinda-
We'd even like put padding and stuff in
Yeah.
hands so you could hold on to it
Yeah.
better. Because the rule was
But
is
if
that
you hit
if
a
your
boulder-
hands if your hands came off the truck, you
You're
were
out.
out of the race.
Yep, you're out.
So if you crashed, you had to hold on to it still, and then you could get back on.
So
But
you're
as soon as your
rolling?
hand came off, you were out of the race.
But if you hit a boulder, you went head first.
Oh.
Dirt, you wake up, dirt all through your teeth.
Sounds like you guys are like you still have teeth.
I don't know how we lived.
Oh, we were.
should've- There's several times.
I mean, we
Dang good
we were
thing.
hardly ever in the house.
One good thing Dad
No,
had
we've never
insurance.
Yeah.
So what were you guys doing in Nevada? How'd you guys get to
Dad
Nevada?
got a job there.
Yeah. So my dad was he
He's
was
a
into
mechanic.
super modified racing, and he took off.
What's that?
The
Earthquake.
wind's blowing, maybe that
That earthquake.
thing. I didn't feel an earthquake.
That was pretty wild. That was
Your
awesome.
dad's here, I guess.
Maybe you don't want me to
Maybe
talk
so.
about this. I better shut up.
No.
No. Anyway, he
I've
was,
already talked about it on a nationwide podcast. So
he
if
was
they're going
doing
to come
a-
after us, anyway. Go ahead.
So he was racing super modifieds, or he was built him and Paul Walter. All right, I won't.
Seriously?
See what it is.
It's in the hallway. It's that
Is this a common thing?
No, it's not. It's one of
No,
these.
it's one of those things.
Yeah. That's crazy. All right, we're gonna try this again. So yeah, him and Paul Walters used to have these they built super modifieds, and they started racing in 67, 68.
Yeah.
Anyway, my dad and Paul took off for a month.
This is bizarre.
I'm telling you, your dad. He's like, don't tell him that part. Don't know it's this one.
Oh no!
Then when I said it was your dad, it started
Well,
doing
anyway,
it.
back when we used to go to church,
Every day.
Oh my goodness. I gotta admit, this is pretty awesome.
That's cool.
We should be like
No,
those guys
you should
on
be.
those Ghost Nation. Okay, Dad, if it's you, do it again.
so anyway, tried.
Alright, good. So anyway, they were racing super modifieds. They ended up doing the series in Ohio.
Yeah.
And they ended up winning the championship, the Ohio State Championship in '75. But they were gone for a whole month. They ran there and they went up into Canada. Paul and my dad were working, I think, at Kennecott at the time, and my mom was furious. We had trophies thrown all over the house because Dad was gone
Yeah,
for so
she was
long. Oh my
not happy
gosh,
about
it was
that.
not a good thing. I don't blame her. I mean, he was gone for a month solid,
Wow.
and they were making pretty good money racing because they were winning everything. But so when he got back, and then she said, "Well, it's racing or me." And he goes, "Well, come with me. We're going to race California." So she went with him to California, and they ran.
They just left you guys at home.
I know.
No, we went to Grandma,
Yeah.
Grandma Norman.
And Louetta, I think maybe Louetta.
Mm.
I know we were with Louetta.
Yeah.
Stephen and I.
Yeah, we were the Weta.
Yeah. But anyway, they went there, ran the California series, Northern California. And on their way back, they were stopped at a truck stop and eating, and there was an ad there for a mechanic at this meat packing company in Yerington, Nevada. So my dad applied for it, and then we ended up moving to Yerington.
So we did it.
Yeah,
For a year.
2 years. We were there for
2 years?
Yeah.
2 years.
Place was cool though. I like the
I love
frogs.
Yerington. Yeah.
The frogs are cool.
I went to 5th grade and 5th grade there.
I've been back there.
Fifth grade. We went to a.
I got held back in the first 5th grade.
Yeah,
so I had to go
Christine
back
was
to-
having problems with school. Stephen was
Well, they
having
spanked
problems
her.
with school.
They
Remember that? They spanked her.
yeah.
And so Mom took us all out of school and put us in this Seventh-day
I
Adventist
used to
private
get
school.
yelled at literally it was the worst schooling you've ever had in your life. The worst.
That set me back a long ways.
Yeah,
I'm not
it
gonna
set
lie.
us all back.
It was bad.
Well,
School.
don't-
She was a nice lady.
She was a nice lady, but we were just
was-
basically on our own.
one
We were
teacher-
feral children.
Yeah.
Is what was that's
Sounds
what happened.
like-
They had
I mean,
it was one classroom, one teacher, and from first grade to 12th grade.
Seventh-day Adventist.
And every school day was basically Convert the Mormons Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do it though, did they?
No.
Nope.
No, if anything, just made me study more. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, cool.
Got my testimony stronger.
But yeah, I've been back there. It's
Have you?
I remembered that it was this
Big,
huge city.
place.
And then I get there and I'm like, everything's like really close to everything's like this was a really small town. I mean, I was like, we were like 2 blocks away from City Hall.
Mm.
Yeah.
I remember walking everywhere. You can go every.
Well, yeah, it was all. But you remember where the ponds were that we used to go hunting for frog?
Yeah.
That's turned into a nice little park.
Yeah.
You know, they've. Well, I guess we won't. I guess we're not going to talk about why we left New Yerington
Oh yeah.
in the middle of the winter.
In the middle of the night.
That got scary.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. Dad just came home and said, "We're leaving."
Yeah. That's when so the guy that owned it, him and his mom, moved from Chicago to there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, they would load haul the trucks up at night, and the truck drivers would come in the morning to take the trucks to go deliver. Well, the trucks were all getting broke into, and all the meat was being stolen. So then they kept on trying to figure out what it was, and they put surveillance up and trying to find out what it was. And then come to find out, she didn't leave Chicago on good terms with her mob husband, and the mob had found him and was stealing stuff. They had FBI agents up in the trees and everything, waiting for this thing to go down. Dad's like, "All right, we're going."
Yeah, we're out of here.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
Yeah.
And
Kill
we-
them up.
Yeah.
Somebody
So
to
it
mess
got-
with.
that was a cool place.
I love that.
I love that.
That was the first time though that I
Got to know Dad.
got to know Dad, and it was the first time that I realized that people thought he looked like Kenny Rogers. Because we
That's when he
were
started growing a beard.
growing the
about then.
beard.
Yeah.
But no, I remember I went with him to go get the water turned on. Right? And we go walking in there, and the lady was just so nice to Dad. She's like, "What can I do for you?" And he's like, "Well, we're just going to get our water turned on." And she's like, "Well, where's your house at?" And he gives her the address, and she's like, "Are you sure? I mean, I think you'd be in a bigger home." And he's like, "No, that's where we're at." And she was just so determined that he was Kenny Rogers that she waived the fee to get the water turned on and had them go and turn it on like right then. Like when the water was turned on before we got back to the house. She was so determined that he was Kenny Rogers. And I'm just sitting there going, "What?" She
Kenny
kept
Rogers
calling him
first.
Kenny. Yeah, she kept calling him Kenny. And he's like, "No, it's Gary Norman." She's like, "Well, if that's the name you want me to put down." And it was just the weirdest. I'm just sitting there going, "Who's Kenny Rogers?"
That's what I thought too.
And then we got home, and then I started looking. I was like, "Oh, okay."
I thought it was fun going to Vegas and always getting autographed. People wanted his autograph.
Your dad.
We just sat
Yeah.
there and laughed. It was so funny.
And he'd always sign Gary Norman and then put Kenny in quotes.
Wonder if Kenny ever
But
found out
yeah, he
about
was-
that.
I remember people running to the gift shop and buying a camera and then running back over to get pictures with him.
Yeah.
You got into a lot of places free.
Yeah.
Hey, we could give you the Kenny look. See how it
You
went.
can do it.
But
Of course,
So
you
it
don't
doesn't
want-
really work
doesn't
now.
work now.
You don't
No.
want to look like, you don't
Now
want to look
it's-
like the old
You'd-
Kenny, though.
You'd have to get some
No.
facelift stuff done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I tell people in my act, I go, "Yeah, I look like the dude, the Big Lebowski, Jeff Bridges."
Oh,
I say I either look like Jeff Bridges, or if you're older, you think I look like Kenny Rogers before he had the surgery.
Yeah.
the cool thing with that Yerington deal with Mom, we had that circus or whatever that come to town.
Uh-huh.
And Mom didn't want to go because Paint Your Wagon was going to be on TV.
Yes.
Yeah. So we went to the circus deal, and the Lee Marvin, the main actor in it, was at the circus. And so when we got home, it's like, "Hey, guess who we seen?" She got to watch her Paint Her Wagon movie though.
I
in
think
peace.
she watched that.
in
every
quiet.
Yeah, that's true. It was fun.
That is funny.
I like camping.
I had fun there.
So did you guys just come back to Utah, or?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, we ended up coming back, living with Grandma McPhee for a little bit.
And then we bought the trailer.
Yeah, then we moved to Sandy in the trailer park. Then we burnt that house down. Then we went to the other
Oh,
house.
that's
We burnt that
insane.
one down. The American Fork, and then we moved to Provo, and that's where we kind of went all our different directions. But
So is
That's
that
right.
where you guys were in high school? Was it
Yeah, that's
Provo?
where I went on my mission first. That was the beginning of.
That was a tiny house.
Yeah, it was.
I drove by it the other day. I was like, "Holy crap! I can't believe
We
we
lived
had
there.
all of us."
4 boys, 1 girl, to mom and dad.
Well, and then
Uh,
when you went on your mission, we had 3 boys: Kathy, Christine, her whole family
Yeah.
of
For
4
kids, yeah.
4 or 5 kids.
It was insane.
Yeah, I didn't spend much time at home then.
Me neither.
We found stuff to do.
Together?
Nah,
No.
you're doing football.
Football debate,
Yeah,
girlfriend.
you moved. Yeah, who was your chick?
Tess.
Tess. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I really wasn't in love with her. I was just in love with the idea of not being home.
Her mom was a good cook, huh?
I'd go to Grandma and Grandpa's and work on the race cars.
Yeah. No, I was just, Christine and Keith there. It was just,
You talk about birth control. That was birth control.
yeah, it's like, oh. Just-
That worked even better in the Suburban.
Yep.
Crying babies.
Here's what happens when you start early.
It was a great example.
Oh, so how old was Christine when she had her first kid?
16.
16.
But she'd already ran off.
She was with Grandma Norman.
Yeah.
Yeah, she ran off when she was, what, 15?
Yeah.
With that kid with the pigeon chest. Remember
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Weirdo? What was his name?
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. Looking.
Jeff Call? Was that it?
I think
He was
you're
just-
right.
Mr. Kung Fu is what we called him.
Yeah.
He looked like a drugged out version of Peter Frampton. I mean, he was just really skinny. He was rich. He was
you
from a
remember Mike?
really rich family.
You remember Mike? That guy with the big nose that we always. Hey, Mike, how you doing? This guy had the biggest nose.
And he had that Chevelle. Was that
We're all big. Hey,
Yeah.
Mike. Hey, Mike,
Steve and
how
I
you
did
doing?
the body work on
oh,
it.
that Chevelle? Remember that?
It was nasty. We weren't a good body.
Well, he was covered up the holes.
Yeah, we did that. I think the holes look better than our body work now.
That's where we got introduced to Bondo.
Mm-hmm. I'm just glad it wasn't on our car because it was ugly.
Oh my goodness.
I think the left rear door, I think, is what we was fixing.
Well, she had some
Yeah, she got some.
Boyfriends.
interesting boyfriends. That's where I remember I got I was mowing lawns for a real estate company.
I remember that.
And they had this yard that was like just down the street from us. The weeds were like they were over my head. I mean, these things were tall. And I went through and I cleared out the backyard, mowed it all down, started watering it, and started grass coming back in, and I got a paycheck for like $120. And it was the most money I'd ever had in my, at that point in my life. That was my money. And Christine found out that I had the money, and her boyfriend found out I had the money, and they were determined to help me cash my check so they could borrow $20 from me. And we went on this excursion where we went to like a Harmon's grocery store. We went to a Kmart, trying to find somebody to cash this check. We finally ended up getting it cashed at a head shop. I had no idea what a head shop was
Downtown
till I get there and
Provo?
I'm going, all this creative glass artwork. You know what I mean?
Was it downtown Provo?
No, it was over in that
There.
it was a shopping center right over by the house. Is what
Oh.
we ended up doing.
In Sandy.
Oh, too funny.
Shopping center was cool. They had that one place that you can buy the necklaces. We were always going over getting necklaces.
Yeah,
We were
remember when
awesome.
the ones I always wanted was the ones with a little skateboard.
It's
Mine
like-
was
Oh, yeah.
Arrowheads. That's what I
Yeah,
got.
Arrowhead, but yeah.
I didn't get anything cool like that. Just the chain.
I got Arrowheads.
I always wanted the little mini skateboard. And then you have the big collars, the silk shirts, those big
Yeah.
collars.
And you left him unbuttoned down here.
Had my John Davidson haircut, bushy hair.
John Davidson.
Remember that?
Oh. Do you know who that is?
Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys, yeah.
Like the Monkees. Best band ever. They were so cute.
And I remember when you got the Pink Floyd album.
Yes.
When we opened that
Oh
up.
man.
It was the coolest thing ever.
We listened to that
All the time.
All the time.
All the time. Just over and over and
we had
over
to
again.
play. We had to play it backwards.
Oh yeah, because
Try to
there's
find
that
all
one-
the demonic messages.
Yeah, we went to that one fireside.
I'll never forget that. To sit there going, they're telling us about how all this music is evil and demonic, and we're all sitting there going, this sounds cool.
We had the same fireside. The guy came from Utah, and he was telling us, and we were all like,
What?
"Who's got that record?"
Wow, Black Sabbath is awesome.
I didn't even know you can even play a record
I
backwards
know,
alone.
I didn't either. So we did it with our finger.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we
we
were
did.
trying, and
I
they
had
were like,
boys.
"Okay, somebody write this down." It was gonna give us some horrible message that we were gonna. We were like,
We're gonna open the gates of hell. Let's do it.
yeah.
I swear they says death. I swear they said death.
No, it wasn't death.
No, I think they said mustard.
Well, Pink Floyd, it was, if you find this message, please send us a postcard to so and so. And they gave the
Yeah,
address. That's what the message was.
that's
what the
right.
backwards message was.
Was, yeah.
Now I do
And then you
remember
got
that
like a
one. That
free
one was-
poster or
Yeah,
something,
you got a
wasn't
free
it?
poster if you did it.
Ours didn't do that.
Huh?
We didn't get nothing. Then we go fast. This isn't working. We're like, these guys in Utah are so weird. Yeah. That was a good fireside though. Got us all thinking.
Yeah. And we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
Got me thinking about how much I enjoyed AC/DC.
Oh, I think it's shortly after that we all started listening to country though. It's so fun because
It was
our
too.
parents wouldn't let us listen to Journey or anything anymore. REO Speedwagon was out. And we're like, Alabama, is that okay? Well,
I went with Oak Ridge Boys.
yeah.
My mother made my brother take all of his records up to the dump and shoot them. They were
Really?
his target practice.
Wow.
Painful.
We never.
You
We
guys
never
didn't have
really
the same
David
fireside.
David went a little
David took it,
crazy. Yeah.
David
David
took it
David
to heart.
David took it to real.
Yeah.
God bless David.
Because it was Mr. Christensen, his teacher.
Yeah, was the guy, was one of the main guys behind that whole thing.
So when you guys had yours, did the guy like play the guitar and stuff for you?
No, he just played the records. He
He
showed the
played.
records
Yeah.
and played it. And
Yeah, we had that guy too, but we had
No.
another guy that came from Utah, and he like played music to let us know the difference between the bad vibes and the good vibes, and we were like,
if it has more than 4 chords, stay away. It's evil.
No, I missed that one.
You're
Missed
lucky.
that fireside.
This guy, he was like he worked in Hollywood, so he knew stuff, man.
Mm.
He were trying to scare the crap out of us with about how people were being like possessed. We were like,
By the music.
because we'd all just watched Amityville Horror and
Yeah.
Poltergeist, and we were like,
Yeah.
yeah. None of us got possessed. Bummer.
I remember
So much looking forward to it, huh?
how not to watch The Exorcist or Rosemary's Baby. I remember that being a big deal. An Omen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, The Shining, I couldn't watch that one either. The whole time. That was like, it came out on video, and somebody brought it over to a friend's house, and they were all older than us. There was like 3 of us girls and these 4 older boys, and we were like trying to be cool. We were sitting on the couch, and we were all like this.
Yeah.
We were not cool at all.
I remember watching Jaws, and I did not want to go swimming.
Ever again.
It was a while.
I didn't get it.
The one that really got me was Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Because I remember, like this situation,
Mom.
a couch next to a window.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
For
I
the
could not
most-
go
I
past the
couldn't do it.
cemetery that saved
Yeah.
my life.
No.
That one scared the snot out of me.
But now you watch it, it's like, what
It's
am
like-
I scared of?
Yeah, it's like the makeup is horrible. What was
The
that?
acting's terrible.
I know.
Like the
Please, think-
Chainsaw
oh,
Massacre ones,
think,
you're
yeah.
like, I never
You
watched
watch it, it's
all
like-
of those, but I saw clips of them
Like-
at the time, and you're like, oh my gosh. And now, like, my kids are like, Mom, I'm like, yeah, that was scary. They're like,
You watch and you go, wow, this is a complete waste of pork chops. That's what this is.
yeah,
Mm.
kind of funny.
Oh, man.
Well, you ready? We're ending it.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah, it's time to go to bed. Okay. Anything you want to share with posterity?
Mm.
Don't stick your foot down when you're
Yep.
going fast on your bike.
That's a bad thing.
It's a
Yeah,
bad thing.
Yeah.
just don't do it.
It leaves scars.
It makes you short.
Yeah, short. See, I thought drugs and alcohol would do it, but no. It,
Nope.
Nope. Breaking it
Icicle.
away.
Breaking legs, snake your growth.
I have no ankle now, though. Like no ankle bone or anything.
Ashley calls them
Really?
kinkles.
And my
That's what
blood
she
veins
had.
are all poked down on that one. Oh, my-
She's just like,
Yeah. Anyway.
I heard softly snoring over here, and the dog's out, so I keep touching the dog's nose
You're
when it snores.
asleep over there.
I heard
Time
it.
you,
I heard
There we
time
go.
you ahead and